أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to another edition of Perspective. My name is Faizel Patel, and on tonight's show, we are going to be talking about the volcano erupting in Indonesia, Crime Line's Yusuf Abramji being held up at gunpoint at his home in Erasmia, and safety at Kabristans as well, and some technology news as well. Now, you're welcome to interact with me by sending me a mail on Faizel@itvnetworks.tv. Alternatively, send me a tweet on @Faizi143 or drop me a comment on facebook.com/Faizel Patel. Now, one of the stories that's making headlines and is quite sad is a volcano in western Indonesia erupted 8 times in just a few hours, raining down rocks over a large area and forcing thousands to flee their homes on Sunday last week. Now, Mount Sinabung has been erupting on and off since September, but went into overdrive late on Saturday evening and early Sunday, repeatedly spewing out red-hot ash and rocks up to 8 kilometers in the air. That is, it's just phenomenal. How do you think that, the power these volcanoes have? Now, several thousand people left their homes overnight, taking the total number of those who fled since the volcano rumbled to life to about 12,300 people. So 12,300 people fled their homes because of the eruption of this volcano. Now, people panicked as the eruption was accompanied by a loud, thunderous sound and vibrations. And when it started raining down rocks, you can imagine the sky was dark and all these there's rocks raining down and people trying for cover. It's chaos. It's just totally chaos. Now, the volcanology agency raised the alert level for the volcano on the northern tip of Sumatra Island to the highest point on a 4-stage scale, meaning hazardous eruptions was imminent or underway. Now, Sinabung is one of dozens of active volcanoes in Indonesia, which straddles the major tectonic fault lines known as the Ring of Fire, which erupted in September for the first time since 2010. Now, in August, 5 people were killed and hundreds evacuated when a volcano on a tiny island on East Nusa Tenggara province erupted. Now, the country's most active volcano, which is the Mount Merapi in central Java, killed more than 350 people in a series of violent eruptions in 2010. So, natural disasters are occurring more frequently. What are your thoughts or comments? Do you think that the world today, not only in South Africa, but all over America with the typhoons. We spoke last week about Philippines, Typhoon Haiyan in Philippines. Do you think that natural disasters are becoming a regular occurrence? Also, another question I want to pose to you, and let me know what you think, especially when such disasters occur. If you had to take one thing from your home, if you had to flee, if you had to take one thing from your home, what would you take? You can send me a mail on Faizel@itvnetworks.tv. Alternatively, drop me a comment on Twitter, on Faizi143. Alternatively, on facebook.com/Faizel Patel. So that's the disaster that took place in Indonesia. Let us make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from such disasters and keep us safe, and also for the people of Indonesia. Now, another story that's been making headlines last week is Yusuf Abramji, the head of Crime Line, was robbed in his Erasmia home on Friday morning by 2 armed men who made off in his BMW 5 Series. Now, 2 attackers are believed to have cut through the electric fencing of Abramji's home at about 9 a.m. and gained access to his house. Abramji was in the bathroom when he heard his wife screaming in another part of the house. He say he ran to the front of the house shouting to his youngest son that they were being robbed. And what follows next is just quite scary. It was then that he saw that his wife, with a gun to her head. I mean, imagine that. Here's the person that you love, your wife, your spouse, with a gun to her head, and the robbers demanding the keys to his car. Now, the robbers fled in his car, but not before firing shots at the family. But fortunately, nobody was hurt. Now, Abramji and his son Zahir returned fire. Before that, he said he went to his room to get his gun. And, he also said that they used the remote to leave the gate, to leave the yard, because it was on his car's keys. Now, police responded swiftly and are now searching for the suspects. He says... Abramji says nobody is immune to crime. Everybody is part of crime. It affects everybody. It doesn't know no creed, no color. It doesn't know no demographics. You can live in a biggest mansion, or you can live in a small little shack on the other side of the world. But crime affects everybody. Now, earlier in the week, I did speak to Yusuf Abramji, and this is what he had to say.
I don't think anyone is immune to crime in South Africa, be it a police officer, be it a civilian like myself, be it a crime fighter. It again shows that these criminals will spare nothing just to try to rob innocent people of their possessions. I think more than ever before, I've always been resolute that we need to create a safer South Africa. I've been very vocal, and I think I'll continue to be vocal. And if ever I was more resolute in my decision to make South Africa safer, is after the incident today. There's no way I'm going to pull back. There's no way I'm going to have these criminals overtaking us and putting more fear and terrorizing our people. I will continue to lead this fight, and I will continue to see how we can escalate this fight for a safer South Africa.
So how has crime affected you? What do you think? How do we solve the problem of crime? You get the police force. There's so much corruption going on in the police force. But we can't hide behind high fences, and you can't hide behind electric fences, and you can't just be nonchalant towards crime. How do we curb it? I want to know your feedback. Send me your feedback. How do we stop crime? How do we curb crime in this country? The thing is that we need to be proactive. A couple of weeks ago, we seen two YouTube videos, and I'm no doubt that you have seen it as well, where a robbery took place in the CBD, where a family was hijacked. They were thrown out of their vehicles. The robbers apparently had AK-47s. But what was disconcerting was that cars were driving around. They were driving around these people. Now, I understand that you got your family to look after, but how do you assist these people? Is there a way to assist? Crime knows no boundaries, like I mentioned earlier. How do we protect our families? That's a question I want to know. Also, is that Abramji mentioned, like we heard in a soundbite that we had earlier, that he will not stop. And I think this is a good initiative by this man. He's taken his fight against crime to another level, and that is very honorable of him. He's tenacious, and he's also got the ability to ensure that crime is fought at the highest level. Now, another story that I want to touch on this week is Qabristans. It also relates to crime as well. Now, Qabristans are a place of serenity and the final resting place for loved ones and that have passed on. But now we're going to expound on that when we come back after the break. Now, in recent times, the sanctuary for the marhumin, particularly Avalon, has become a more haven for scrupulous criminals. But what we're going to do is we're going to go for a break, and after the break, we're going to expound more on the story that has also been plaguing communities where Muslims are resident, and also areas where people want some sort of serenity to pray for their loved ones. So after the break, inshallah, we will continue with the story. Stay tuned.
أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى إلهي سرت في ظرف عصيب فاكشف البلوى فيا ربي أنا.
Welcome back to Perspective. My name is Faizel Patel. Before the break, we were speaking about qabristans and how there are places for the marhumin that have passed away. How do you want time to reflect for loved ones that have passed away? You normally visit the qabristan on a Saturday or Sunday to reflect the time that you had with those persons or marhumin that passed away. Now, in recent times, the qabristans has become a haven for scrupulous criminals ready to prey on unsuspecting people that come to the qabristan to make dua for their loved ones. Now, in the latest incident, which is quite sad, and it's unfortunate we have to write stories like this. One man was severely assaulted and another shot after they went to the Avalon Qabristan near Indonesia, which is the south of Johannesburg. Muhammad Iqbal Kader, he's from the Sabri Chishti Society, the Burial Society, said they sent out a paki on Tuesday, which was the 19th of November, at about 2:30 to open the Jamaat Khana and also to clean the qabrs because they had a mayat on that day. Now, why they do that is sometimes the grave is not actually prepared. And if it's a big mayat or if it's a big funeral, you get a lot of people coming. Now, what they do is they send the paki in advance, about an hour or half an hour before, to open up the Jamaat Khana so that they can get everything ready, ensure that maybe there's towels or, ensure that everything is done. And they also go to the qabr site to ensure that the planks that they use, the leaves, the shovels are there. If it's at night, normally they have a generator and also there's enough water as well. So they prepare this in advance. And normally, mayats don't know a time. It happens suddenly and, it needs to be prepared. It can be at night or it can be late in the afternoon or early morning as well. Now, Khalil Sheikh and Bashir Makanda, also from the Sabri Chishti Society, after arriving at Avalon Qabristan, this is after the paki was sent, were accosted by two young men who were loitering around. Now, if you know the Qabristan, Avalon Qabristan, there's a railway that's separated from the township, which is Soweto, and these attackers were now loitering around, just walking around. So what they did is they accosted these two people from Sabri Chishti Society. They pulled Khalil out of their vehicle and they threw him down, grabbing his wallet and his identity document. Now, the Malawi guy, which is Bashir, he said, and in a shock of the whole incident that took place, he said, these people are here to hijack us. Now, and what he did, he got out of the paki, and as he ran away, they shot him in his leg. So that is quite sad. So, so trying to get away from these people, they will try to attack him and obviously steal money or whatever he may have in his possession. Now, a bystander that was there called the police and said they arrived within 10 minutes. Now, this is actually remarkable. At least they were there quickly on the scene. Not like last week when we spoke about the attempted hijacking of Riyad Malik, where the police took 45 minutes to come to scene, and to end insult to injury, they even ran out of petrol. Now, Makanda was rushed to the Landmed Private Hospital in Indonesia, where he was treated for a gunshot wound to the leg. Now, we've received some feedback from the doctors. Although he's in a stable condition, the doctors have informed him that he would have to live with a bullet embedded in his flesh for the remainder of his life in order to avoid paralysis or any permanent damage. So it's quite sad that you've become a victim of crime, and now you have to live with this, the reminder that this bullet is in your body and for the rest of your life. And if it's taken out, you will obviously suffer the consequences, in which case, Bashir's case is permanent damage and he might be even paralyzed. Now, a case has been opened at the Kliptown police station. The communications officer at the police station was not available for comment. I did try to speak to them, but they haven't issued any comment to that effect. And also, what I'm saying is that they still haven't arrested any suspects, so the suspects are still at large. But the message that I want to relay to all those viewing tonight, all those watching tonight, is that whoever goes to the Avalon Qabristan, don't go alone. Go with a couple of people and be alert. Be on a lookout. People are lurking in the most strangest of places. And normally there's there's set times to go. Normally on a Sunday, they have between maybe 10 and 11 a.m. or on a Saturday between 3 and 4. But don't go alone, because you might be a victim of crime. And it is quite sad that, we have to lose your life in a way or in a manner such as this. You go to the Qabristan to make dua for people, for your family, for your friends, for your mother, father, or anybody as a matter of fact. And you want to reflect on the time for the person that you lost. And in the interim, you will be, it's unfortunate and said that hopefully you do not get attacked by people and then you lose your life in the process. So please be careful when you do go visit the Qabristan and be vigilant at all times. Another story that's been making headlines recently is a masjid in Fatija, the south of Stockholm, Sweden, has been desecrated and vandalized when pig trotters were thrown inside, shattering windows of its main door. Now, shortly before 11 a.m. on that particular day, the masjid said they received a call from the masjid in Fatija that one person had arrived and found pig trotters inside. Now, the incident was classified as an act of vandalism and hate crime, that's according to police reports. Now, police said no suspects have been identified as yet, and security have been intensified around the Fatija Masjid to find clues for this particular racial incident. Now, Sweden, which like much of Scandinavia, is traditionally known to be a very tolerant country, is seeing a gradual increase in Islamophobic incidents. In August, a pregnant Muslim woman was hospitalized after being attacked because of her headscarf. Now, this led to a mass headscarf campaign where Muslims and non-Muslims alike donned the headscarf in support of women's rights to dress as they please. Now, the masjid, which was built in 2007, is the only masjid in Sweden that calls out the adhan for Jummah prayers, which normally 1,500 people go and read a Jummah Salah there on a Friday. Now, what happened is earlier in April 2013, the local police ruled to allow adhan at the Fatija Masjid in a southern Stockholm suburb of Botkyrka or Botkyrka on Fridays. The permission allows Muslims to raise the adhan for 3 to 5 minutes between 12 and 1 p.m. on Fridays. Now, the move came in response to a request by Muslims to raise their call for prayers from the Fatija Masjid, the only Muslim worship place that has a minaret in Sweden. Now, a little bit stats on the place of Sweden. In Stockholm, almost 500,000 Muslims live in Sweden, making up around 5% of Sweden's overall population. So there you have it. Is Islamophobia on the increase? We spoke numerous occasions on Perspective about the various Islamophobic cases. The boy that was thrown off a bus, a 10-year-old boy, and also some hijab in France as well, which has been banned. But it's quite sad that Islamophobia raises its ugly head once again. We're going to go for a break, and after the break, we're going to speak about illegal hunting in South Africa and the amount of money that's made from hunting in South Africa, which leaves one of the beautiful beasts like lions and the big five totally, desecrated, and also, it's sad that the hunting has become so rife in South Africa. Stay tuned.
أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى إلهي صرت في ظرف عصيب فاكشف البلوى فيا ربي أنا.
Welcome back to Perspective. My name is Faizel Patel. Before the break, we said we're going to be speaking about hunting in South Africa. Now, you're welcome to interact with me by sending me a mail on faisal@itvnetworks.tv. Alternatively, drop me a tweet on @Faisy143, or you can drop me a comment on facebook.com/Faisal Patel. Now, South Africa has made 90 million rand less in 2012 than the previous year from tourists who came to the country to hunt as professional hunters. Now, this was contained in preliminary findings of the Environmental Affairs Department statistics for 2012. The findings showed that tourists who visited for hunting purposes contributed to 811 million rand to the economy in 2012 compared to 901 million rand in 2011. Now, one of the worst out of all this hunting is rhino poaching. Rhino hunting or rhino poaching showed the biggest decrease, with 85% fewer harvests in 2012 than in 2011. This meant that only 36 million rand was contributed by rhino hunting in 2012, which compared to 84 million rand in 2011. The lion hunting particularly showed the biggest increase, with 151 more harvests in 2012, raising 122 million rand as opposed to the 77 million rand made in 2011. Now, there was a public outcry recently when U.S. television personality and a Minnesota-based game hunter, Melissa Bachman, was featured on Twitter alongside a lion that she killed while she was in South Africa with a comment, and I'm going to quote directly. She says, "An incredible day hunting in South Africa, stalked inside 60 yards on this beautiful male lion. What a hunt." Now, that is quite sad. If you had to see the picture, she's made a Twitter profile now private, so you can't see the picture, but it was quite sad seeing her pose beside this lion, it was absolutely terrible. Now, activists have petitioned South African government to deny future entry to Bachman, accusing her of being an absolute contradiction to the culture of conversation, not only in South Africa, but wherever she's hunted. They've obtained more than 150,000 signatures. However, her tweet, now this is where it comes in, her tweet invoked a furious backlash with users, condemning her as a pathetic and disgusting. Now, she has made her Twitter account private, like I've mentioned earlier, after the barrage of comments. Now, her bio reads, and it's quite sad because she's nonchalant, she's insensitive. Her bio reads, and I'm going to read it from there. This comes from her Twitter profile. He says, "I've been an avid hunter my entire life, and now I've turned my passion into a career as a TV producer, a host, and a writer. I'm a hardcore hunter doing what I love." So I don't know what your thoughts are on hunting. Let me know. We've got the Big Five in South Africa. Do you think it's right to kill these beautiful beasts just for the pleasure, not for consuming for the meat, but for trophy hunting, to take it and display it on your wall and to show off what you've killed? I think it's totally wrong, but that's just my opinion. You're welcome to let me know. Send me a mail on Faizel@itvnetworks.tv. Alternatively, drop me a comment on facebook.com/Faizel Patel, or alternatively on Twitter at Faizy143. Another story that's been making headlines last week in court papers apparently suggests that the construction company, yes, that's the Tongaat construction company, or the construction of the mall that collapsed last week, that says that building of the Tongaat mall was acting so far outside the law that the building inspector had no idea it was meant to be a shopping center. That's how hectic it was, or how terrible it was. Now, the mall, which was under construction, collapsed on Tuesday last week and left one person dead and 29 people injured. Now, it's reported the center's owner said in court papers a month ago that no people on site or members of the public were in danger. I guess he was wrong, because 2 people have died and 29 others have been injured. Now, in an affidavit submitted to the court last month, the owner of the mall, Ravi Jagadesan, said the city had verbally agreed to fast-track the permission of his company needed to continue with the development of the building. Now, in April, the city inspector ordered the developers to stop the building plans, and the mall was totally ignored. Now, a culpable homicide charge has been opened in wake of the collapse, but police cannot say who they are investigating at the moment. So questions are being asked over the contractor involved in the Tongaat shopping mall collapse. The Sunday Times also reported that Jagadesan Singh has been investigated for tax evasion and money laundering, with stealing his brother's ID to avoid fraud charges. It's also alleged that the mall developer ignored a stop work notice and one of the levels of the partially built shopping complex of ignoring all this. So on Saturday, another body was found, and that brings the death now to 29 injured and 2 people that has now died. So the Labour Department's Nantla Kumalo says the rescuers did a good job. So we just pray that things like this are avoided in the future. Now onto our technology segment. A South Korean multinational, LG Electronics, confirmed that its smart televisions can track what consumers are watching even after that they select a preference that purports to deactivate the tracking. Now, viewers' data, including viewing duration, real-time tracking of the selected channels, all files stored connected to USB devices are being monitored by LG on this television. Or the smart TVs, if you want to put it that way. Now, LG promised to issue a firmware upgrade to honor consumers' opt-out preferences, but it said that the television now spying on you. It's invading on your privacy. Now, this feature, however, was never fully implemented, and no personal data was ever collected or retained. That's what LG says. This feature will also be removed from affected LG smart TVs with a firmware upgrade. So if you got one of those LG TVs, you can upgrade it so that you don't be subject to spying from LG. Now, Samsung takes all concerns regarding consumer privacy, data security very seriously. All of Samsung's smart TVs, including industry standard ones, security safeguards and practices to secure that all consumers' personal information prevent its unauthorized collection or use. Samsung said in a statement that they don't do such stuff. So at least the privacy of the user of the TV is protected. An Asian buyer purchased a rare Leica camera, which is also part of our technology segment. It's only one of 4 kinds in the world. It costs 620,000 pounds. The 1932 camera fetched 620,000 on Friday last week in an auction where about 80 cameras and accessories under the hammer. But the selling price failed to set a new world record for a camera, so it's exorbitant money to spend for a camera. The world record for a camera was set in Vienna last year when the Leica camera prototype sold for about 2.79 million rand. Now, only 4 of the cameras were ever made, and the whereabouts of the other 3 are basically unknown at the moment. So the camera, which comes gold-plated and comes with a sort of a crock case or a gold case, it belonged to a previous owner before. So that's our technology segment that we have for today. We welcome your feedback. Please send me your comments and notes or any other feedback that you want to give me on my email on Faizel@itvnetworks.tv, alternatively on facebook.com/Faizel Patel, or alternatively on Twitter @Faizy143. We've come to another edition, end of another edition of Perspective. Like I said, you're welcome to interact with me by sending me your tweets on @Faizy143, alternatively on facebook.com/Faizel Patel, or drop me a mail on Faizel@itvnetworks.tv. From myself, Faizel Patel, and the great team here at ITV, fi amanillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أناجي الحق في ليل لهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى أناجي الحق في ليل لهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى صرت في ظرف عصيب فاكشف البلوى فيا ربي أنا عبد لرد الضيم لا يقوى